podcast
with Ben Carasso.
He sued the Department of Education. Join me to another episode of the Use Your Voice podcast. And today we're with Joe Kaplan. And today he's going to speak about how he sued the Department of Education about anti-Semitism and about using your voice. Joel, thank you so much that you're joining me today.
Not a problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, you sued the Department of Education. Tell us what happened there.
So in 2020, we brought a court case against the Department of Education for anti-Semitism that happened to us, to me and four other students at Brighton Secondary College. So we were at the school and we experienced some very bad anti-Semitism. And so we brought this against the state. We're represented by a law firm called Cornwalls and a Sydney barrister, Adam Butt. And we brought this case against the state of Victoria.
What kind of anti-Semitism have you experienced?
So between me and the other four students, there was those Jewish kids that were having their yarmulkes ripped off. There were swastikas drawn throughout the school. Even at the worst, there was a student that was held at knife point for being Jewish.
Oh my God. And how did you deal with that? I mean, you were 16, 17 when you filed the lawsuit.
That's correct.
How did you were a minor, how did you deal with all of this and with the anti-Semitism, and weren't you afraid that suing the Department of Education would get you in the future?
Yeah, look, for us at the time, it was very nerve-wracking. Being these students, we were young, we came out of the school that we were put down, we were struggling, and this court case actually gave our voices power, and like a lot of us going through the court case, we became stronger and more confident and better people. It was one of the big things that helped us kind of affront our accuser, is gave us the power and the confidence that helped us move forward.
You told me that all the Jewish community helped you during that came. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so during the court case, we were in court for I think 30 sitting days. I could be wrong, and throughout the sitting days, we had a number of members of the Jewish community came to court to support us. We actually had so many people from the Jewish community. They moved us to a bigger courtroom to accompany all the seating, because the normal courtroom didn't have enough seats for all the people that wanted to come and watch the court case.
You were a minor when you filed the lawsuits. You sued the Department of Education. Weren't you afraid that it would get you in the future?
Look, at the time we were concerned, but we had an incredible backing from our solicitors and our barristers that were very supportive. Our goal wasn't to be, we weren't doing this to spite the department. We were doing this for the other Jewish students that were at the school that didn't have a voice.
And you told me about that a lot of Jews came to help you also, but you told me also about how people treat the anti-Semitism as a joke. Yeah,
so at the school, a lot of it was seen as a joke, and so the teachers didn't act upon it. So we had swastikas drawn in the classroom that the teachers didn't remove, and it was in evidence. One of the teachers lost count of 12 swastikas in one classroom. And so you think on a school that has 40 or 50 classrooms, you think about the number of swastikas across this school. And this is a systemic problem that was happening throughout the school.
Oh my God. It's so horrible. How did you deal with the anti-Semitism? I mean, it's so much to deal with, but how did you?
Look, as a student at the school, I reported to teachers, I tried, I told my parents, and I also dreaded going to school. When you go to school and you're getting ready to be persecuted every day, you're going to school on edge, you're arguing with people, you get into these fights with the anti-Semites, and so throughout school, we between me and the other students, we end up leaving Brighton Secondary College.
Mm-hmm. And how did your friends or family react when that you wanted to file a lawsuit against the Department of Education?
our family and a lot of my friends were very nervous because if the government has big pockets and they're a lot more money than us, and they were, my friends and my family were concerned if we lost, we could be liable for the costs of the government, which would be millions of dollars. But we had a great legal team, and they supported us. Something that we did do in court was we had what's called a cost capping order. So if we lost, we couldn't get charged the costs of the government.
The anti-Semitism, when I just think of it, it's so horrible. I hear a lot of stories that about swastikas, and I'm a third generation, by the way, of a Holocaust survivor, and hearing swastikas and people that say that being a Nazi is good and they're proud to be Nazis is horrible. You also told me something about it.
Yeah, so it was in evidence that the principal of the school said in front of 1,200 students, and it was either his father or his grandfather was a Nazi, and he went on to say that he's still a good person. So the principal of the school said this in front of 1,200 students, and it's like as a Jewish student at school, and you're sitting there, and you hear a principal say that he's, that a Nazi's still a good person. It's astonishing.
You're now 23. How do you still experience anti-Semitism in life?
Look, I see it every day, especially on the internet and social media. It's walking through the city of Melbourne. There's a lot of Palestinian flags that are up. There's a protest every Sunday. Yeah.
And, also there's... you were in Melbourne, when Bondi Beach happened, the massacre in Bondi Beach. How did you feel when it happened? Did you feel more afraid to show that you were Jewish from then, or, since October 7th? Because the anti-Semitism that you have gone through in the school was 2015 to 2020, and you filed a lawsuit in 2020.
Yeah, look, personally, I know a number of Jewish people in Melbourne that decide not to wear yarmulkes, that hide their tzitzits when they're out in public, and they only wear them in Caulfield in private. They don't wear them in the city. They prefer not to go around the city, which is quite scary. If it's a country like Australia that's supposed to be so multicultural, to have Jewish people scared to go out and be openly Jewish, it's very nerve-wracking.
Yes, it happens a lot, For example, I remember that I was at Times Square, and I walked with my Am Yisrael Chai shoes that I have here also, and some people started cursing me. Some I have horrible comments that also relates. You told me something about that someone treated and they said it's a joke about the anti-Semitism.
So, there was in court, it was brought up, there was a student that didn't get punished for saying a very anti-Semitic phrase, and there was no punishment for it. We also had students in the court that was brought up. There was a student that made a poem about how Hitler failed, and this student had no punishment for it. And so we're at a school in Victoria where we're supposed to be, you feel safe, your school's supposed to be a safe environment, and we've got open anti-Semitism with no punishment.
I don't know even what to say. The anti-Semitism, and it's so sad that the world doesn't understand the anti-Semitism, and it's really, really scary to be proud to be Jewish on the streets. I mean, what is your message to other Jews who experience anti-Semitism? I mean, especially in public schools. I also met a couple of teens who say that they experience anti-Semitism, or they have, or they're scared to show that they're Jewish, or they see Palestinian flags, or they have debates. What is your message or your tip for them?
Look, ultimately, you don't have a voice till you do, and so if you're experiencing anti-Semitism and you're too scared to say it, and you sit at home, no one will hear you. When you go out and you tell your teachers you experience anti-Semitism, you tell your parents you experience anti-Semitism, and for us, we experienced this. We told our teachers, we told our parents, and the school did nothing. And eventually we went to the Jewish news and we told them. and that's when they started listening. So, like, really, you have to scream your message, and eventually someone will listen.
It shows that it's really, really important to use your voice. I mean, it can be scary, as you said, but it's really, really important. So, what is your message, I mean, to the entire world, especially and to Jewish people for using their voice?
There's people that support you. Like when we went to court, when we took our case to the Federal Court of Australia, the first few days we were in court, the first weeks, we were on our own. And then the Jewish community came, and we had 70 people, 80 people standing there for these Jewish teens. Some of these people we've never met in our entire life, and they've come to support these Jewish teenagers that they've never met. And it really reinforced that the Jewish community is called that because we're a community. We support each other. And whether you know the person or not, there is support for you, and that people, will support you if you support them.
So, Joel, thank you so much for joining me today. It was an honor to hear the story, and I hope that the world will understand what kind of anti-Semitism Jews has experienced only because they're Jews. And I'm sorry that happened to you, and I hope that on the next generations we don't need to not be afraid to be Jews anymore. So thank you so much that you joined me today. And thank you for listening to another episode of the Use Your Voice podcast.